Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I hope you all are excited for another wonderful day living in paradise. Let's have a conversation this morning. One of the most significant areas of your life that you can develop intentionally that will have a dramatic effect on every other area of your life is the area of leadership. Now, if you have any affinity towards or any interest in learning about leadership, the foremost founder and father of explaining leadership in a very easy to understand way is John Maxwell. He's got so many books available on leadership, and he breaks it down very simply. One of the things that is fantastic about John Maxwell is that he is very prolific in his knowledge and wisdom, yet he simplifies things so that everybody can understand it. So you could really summarize leadership through John Maxwell's definition is this: leadership is nothing more and nothing less than influence. Leadership is really nothing more and nothing less than influence. And there's varying forms of leadership that we all must deal with on a daily basis. Just a simple example in one of Maxwell's books talks about levels of leadership. And the lowest level of leadership is the level called positional leadership. If you have ever worked a job with somebody at some time that was a horrible leader, that was not inspiring, did not motivate you, did not develop you, did not even care about you, you could tell they didn't care about you, you were likely working for someone who had a position, meaning, I am the boss, so you have to do what I say. See my name tag here? This name tag says I'm your boss. These are folks who maybe by default were the best pick at the time, but you gotta do what they say because they're your boss. That's a positional leader. And then the highest form of leadership would be influence. That is why you could have a, let's say, 200-story building in downtown New York that is owned and run by maybe a CEO who treats people a certain way, and maybe there's a janitor on the first floor that is big-hearted, that acknowledges people, that speaks to folks, that works with excellence, that, good morning, Mrs. Johnson, how are you today? That's a beautiful dress. Good morning, Mr. Davis, gorgeous tie. How are you this morning? And just over time, what happens is this janitor with the lowest position in this organization could actually be the person with greater influence in the life of the people coming and going than maybe the CEO in terms of influence. In other words, I know Johnny cares for me. I know Johnny is sincere. I know Johnny has interest in me. We talk every day and he has earned my respect. And I just discovered Johnny's been married for 42 years. And I just discovered that Johnny has 5 children, all daughters. I just discovered that Johnny actually, had a master's and at one time just decided that he actually wanted to, just sweep the floors in the building just for fun. And Johnny, without a title, can have greater influence than the CEO. So leadership is nothing more and nothing less than influence, which is bringing us into our dialogue today about a couple of different types of leadership. One is known as transactional, and one is known as relational. Transactional relationship, it's so much easier for the leader because transactional leadership does not create space for there to be potential drama. You see, it's very low risk. It's do this, do that, good job, pat you on the head, good boy, good girl, get your job done, rock and roll. Hey, you got a paycheck, you got a job, be happy. It is transactional. It is very shallow, and it is very hollow, and yet that is most of what corporate leadership is today without a development of sorts, if you will, because typically the personality profiles of those who lead companies do not draw them towards the relational nature. It requires an intentional amount of work and development to develop this tacit skill that cannot be obtained by simply studying it, but by actually rolling up your sleeves and getting dirty and getting in there and getting messy. Because by the way, ladies and gentlemen, people are messy. We're messy. Not so much when you're transactional. When you're transactional, no big deal. You do your thing, I do my thing, good to go. It lacks inspiration. Then there is relational leadership. Now, relational leadership is very risky because it does create a culture that opens the door for some drama, because people have a sense of liberty that they can be authentic and genuine with what they are experiencing. Now, I'm not talking about creating excuses and drama from things that are going on in life for non-performance. Don't hear me. I'm not saying that. I mean, you still perform whether you got the drama going on or not, except the difference is with a relational leader, you know they will have compassion for what you are experiencing and will likely find some way to deliver a resource to you or resources to you to help you through that, because a relational leader is not about the function of the relationship. The relational leader understands their role is to develop you, to help you grow, to help you overcome, to help you how to think differently so that you can show up differently, so you can deliver at a higher level, not because the leader is demanding it of you, but because you are invested in that leader's relational connection to the point that you are inspired to be, do, and have more than if you were working with a transactional leader. Relational leadership now is deep, okay? And it's rich. It is not hollow and shallow. And yet there is significantly greater risk involved because of the fact that you open yourself up to the feels of what's going on with the people that you are serving as that leader. Relational leadership creates a culture of inspiration because you can see and feel and know over time that you are truly cared about. Got it? Great lesson, yes? Now let me tie it all together as I come to this conclusion. You can and should do both depending on the size of your organization. The greatest example, my man, Jesus, who displayed both relational and transactional with a great sense of the appropriate depending on who he was transacting with or relating with. He was a perfect he's so perfect. He's just so perfect. He's a perfect balance of both transactional and relational, using a sense of the appropriate. He was relational with those he had the greatest influence with and over intimately, and was intentional about the 3-12 foundational model. He had his 12 disciples. By the way, one of the 12 was a jackass who burned him. Don't get your feelings hurt if a jackass burns you every now and then. If it happened to the Savior of the world, it could happen to you. And then he had his 3 of the 12 that were his tight front line. His tight 3, and then the total 12 who, through his leadership and through his influence and through his impartation and training and relational connection, empowered them to multiply himself, if you will, his mission, if you will, to go then and influence other people. You see, he was relational with those that were assigned to be closest to him, and he, by nature, had to be transactional with those that were at arm's length, but were experiencing the ripple of the wave he created. He could not, because of the factor of time, be as relational with the folks in his world that were on the outer fringes of that ripple of his influence. So it is not an either or, ladies and gentlemen. It is a both and. You can be both relational and transactional. However, most people defer to one or the other. The relational are not as effective if they are fully relational, because they don't want to hurt the people on the outer fringes by not feeling as connected to them. The transactional that tend to be fully transactional do not inspire those closest to them because they are not relational with them. So if you are going to develop into the type of leader that truly has influence, you must study and learn and activate this tacit skill, my friend, this tacit skill of combining relational leadership with transactional leadership, imagining yourself in the center, and you move from the center of the bullseye relational out along the outer rings to transactional by nature. But are you ready for this as I bring it home with this? You may not be relational to the outer fringe by nature of the size of your organization. However, if you do relational right with your tight 3 and your strong 12, then guess what? They will follow your model and be relational to those that they are empowered to serve. And those people will be relational to their outer circle by your example to the people that they serve. And then those people will be relational to those closest to them. And so you create a culture of relational leadership, although you as the leader have a tight group that you are relational with. You are transactional the further the ripple goes. However, if it's done right and modeled right, everybody has a sense that they are important, that they are cared about, and that there is a culture where trust is birthed through that relational nature, and the performance of that organization then goes through the roof. Are you transactional? Might be time to tweak it. Are you relational? You might want to develop the skill of changing it a little bit. Tight 3, strong 12, ripple effect. You too can be a great leader with just a little bit of work. Have a great day, guys.